I'm a therapist who loves to read, and if you're anything like me, you made it through the SJM universe, just itching to get these characters into therapy. So since TikTok's probably going away here shortly anyways, I decided to finally venture into the series that I've been wanting to do where I psychoanalyze some of the most controversial characters within her universe. We're going to start today with arguably one of the most controversial characters on booktok, but especially the ACOTAR series, and that is going to be Nesta. Just as a quick reminder before we get started, I truly believe that reading is a test in our empathy, and empathy does not mean that we are justifying or explaining away bad behaviors, but rather our duty here is to conceptualize why Nesta may be the way that she is. We're going to start here with childhood and her parents. Nesta is the oldest out of three, with Elaine being the middle and Feyre being the youngest. Nesta was favored by her mother, but I think we need to define here that it's clear that this favorability wasn't defined from love, but rather manipulation for the mom to get her needs met. Now, through this relationship, Nesta's mom molded her to believe that her worth was through her body and through her wits, that she could secure the family's sense of security and stability through a marriage. She was told her entire childhood that she was not going to marry for love, that that was not a privilege, that was hers. Nesta also didn't have the affection of her father. He was said in the books to have favored Elaine and Feyre, but in my opinion, he was a pretty absent father in general. Now, this dynamic made Nesta to feel inadequate in comparison to her sisters. Elaine was the beautiful one, the naive one, and Feyre was the brave, strong, independent one. So because of this dynamic, it can lead to something called splitting. Splitting is very common. Essentially what it means is that when we're children, we don't have the intellectual or emotional capacity to understand that good people can do bad things, and vice versa, I guess. And as children, we need to believe that our family, our parents are good in order to believe that we have a chance at survival. So what we have a tendency to do is place all of the good on them and all of the bad on us, thus creating the belief for her that I am bad. Then they fall into poverty due to their dad's misfortunes, and she no longer is able to secure the thing that her entire worth has been based on until then, a marriage. She loses that affection from her mom, and now she believes I am worthless. Now let's get this next part straight. It was never any of the girls, not Nesta, not Elaine, not Feyre's responsibility to keep the family alive once this happened, okay? That responsibility was always their dad's. But in this scenario, when a parent cannot rise to the occasion, the most capable child does. And in this scenario, it was Feyre. Now, we can hypothesize why it was Feyre and not the oldest, but I think when we really look at the two characters, we can see that Nesta just did not possess the same skills, the same natural resourcefulness, bravery, and mothering that Feyre did. Nesta did attempt to help the family the only way that she knew how, by marrying that guy. I don't remember what his name was. She felt that if she could release Feyre from the burden of taking care of her and Elaine, then she would be helping the family. Now, with all of this early life trauma, being completely displaced in her home, her life, her mother, the only person that she felt a sense of belonging with, dying, her emotional needs being neglected, a human's going to protect themselves the only way that they know how. And for Nesta, this was her anger, or we see metaphorically defined as like a wolf in a court of silver flames. Now, anger is such a common defense mechanism because it just feels so protective. It literally feels like a suit of armor. I don't know if anyone else relates. I'm sure you do. And it might start with like those moments of lashing out, right? In which like someone gets too close or you need to set a really firm boundary. And slowly it starts to feel exactly how she said it, like it devours you. Like you're trying to reach your hand out to the hand that's being reached out to you, and you just can't. The anger is completely in the driver's seat and has you imprisoned. Now, later on in the story, within the second book, we see Nesta undergo several more traumas in which her bodily autonomy is ripped away from her. This first one that we see is when she's raped from, again, that man, his name's not important, and then when she's put into the cauldron, she's literally, her body is being turned into a creature that she has been told to fear her entire life. And she sees Elaine, her humanity being taken away, the one person that she is supposed to protect, that she defines her worthy. This all happens, and she's put into a world in which is foreign to her, when she's surrounded by creatures that she was told is her enemy her entire childhood. But somewhere along the line, she softens up. She decides she wants to help with the war. She gains a sense of purpose, a sense of pride. And then things get worse. Her father shows up to that final battle and confesses his love to her. It's his love for her, for his children, that drove him to show up for them in this primitive moment. And then he dies. Cassian nearly dies. Amarin nearly dies. Rhysand did die and then came back to life, causing her sister such great heartbreak. And she learns that if people get close to her, they will be hurt. They will die. Thus, recreating this belief that I am bad, I am worthless, I am unlovable, and bad things will happen to the people that love me. So she does what she knows how to do. She creates an even bigger wolf this time to keep the people that she does love safe from her. At this point in time, I would diagnose her, if she was my client, with PTSD, major depressive disorder, and passive suicidality. She self-medicates all of those things by drinking, soothing away the emotions, starving herself. When you're starving, you can't feel your emotions very strongly. And sex, which is the only way that she creates a sense of intimacy and pleasure. She pushes away Cassian and dives into these romance books that gives her a semblance of romance and intimacy that doesn't feel safe enough to have with a real human. Kind of hurt my own feelings with that one, not gonna lie. She literally forms a connection with the house, a magical house, because it's safer than forming a connection with a human. When the inner circle sends her to the house of when she is torn apart from the only coping skills that she knows. Now, I'm not saying that was a wrong decision on their part. I honestly think that, what else could they have done? And I think it's really what pushed her to heal at the end of the day. She builds herself back up from rock bottom and is finally forced to deal with her mental health, deal with her actions, with the damage that she's caused in her relationships. I'll be very curious to see where that goes in the next book. To me, it is my personal opinion that I love Nesta. I think she's the most relatable character out of the series and most honestly replicates a mental health journey and one that I might see in my chair every day. So yeah, that's all I've got for you. Let me know if you think I missed anything, and please leave in the comments which SJM character you think I should psychoanalyze next.